Let's talk about planting pollinator plants. So first off, what is a pollinator? A pollinator is any animal that assists in reproduction by spreading pollen from plant to plant. So it can be hummingbirds, it can be bees, it can be butterflies, it can actually be insect pests and also bats. So just any of that is what we classify as a pollinator. Basically, when you're putting in a pollinator garden, you are creating food areas. So you have to mix nectar plants with pollen plants, as well as, if you want, providing food for the larvae, so the caterpillars. And so each caterpillar that is out there requires a specific plant to feed on. And so some of this takes a little bit of research to figure out exactly what you want to do. And so general rules of thumb, you want about 100 square foot area for a pollinator garden. Any smaller than that, you're just going to attract one or two insects at a time, or you want bigger. You want something that will attract more than just a couple. So you're looking at 8 to 10 plants total in an area of 100 square feet. You want to try to target old-fashioned, heirloom, or native varieties. Some of our new varieties they have double petals, or there's something special about them that makes them just very attractive to us as gardeners, won't make them necessarily attractive to insects or pollinators. So just keep that in mind. Some of your old-fashioned, heirloom, or native varieties are your best bet for attracting pollinators. Think about things that will be longer blooming, like echinacea, or the purple coneflower, or Rebecca, which is black-eyed Susans. Sometimes those need to be your mainstays, and then you add extra flower varieties around those two mainstays. The biggest thing is having more than 2 species in an area and 8 to 10 plants total, or more. A lot of people, when they put in pollinator plantings, they really go big. And so, but as a gardener with smaller space, or you're just starting out, I wouldn't necessarily jump into it. I would ease into it. And so when we talk about 100 square feet, that doesn't mean it all has to be in one spot. When you think about what flowers you want to plant, think about diversity. Different colors, different types, different shapes. Think about mixing it up. A lot of times we as gardeners don't want all yellow, and we don't want all the same bloom shape. We want to mix and match, and insects are the same way. Pollinators are the same way. I always recommend utilizing perennials as a mainstay, and then you want to tuck in the annuals. You want to tuck in the herbs, any flowering trees and shrubs. And a lot of times we talk about season-long bloom, and that's when you would start, okay, think about your plan. Okay, I have this, I want to add more. So where do I have my bloom gaps? Where can I add to create more bloom time, more pollinators coming in, and more diversity? And the other thing I want to mention is, when we're dealing with annual flowers, not all of them are created equal. Some of them are just not attractive whatsoever to pollinators. So keep that in mind. I would stick to doing your research and figuring out which ones are more attractive and which ones are not visited at all. There's lots and lots of different information out there on the internet. And just be careful what you find. Try to always get fact versus somebody's opinion. And a lot of times you can do this by putting in, if you want to learn all about asters like Aromatic Aster, put in the word Aromatic Aster and then put the word extension, or put the word NBC or university behind it. And that way you're going to get factual information and not necessarily someone's opinion. And I know that there's several different ways of going about that also, but that's my way of doing it. The other thing that I might mention is Grow Native has some wonderful top 10 lists, and you can find that on the Grow Native website. Grow Native is sort of a pairing of several different organizations, including Missouri Department of Conservation, that really like to promote the native plants. And this is my go-to place. If I want anything native, this is where I go. And so I love their top 10 lists because they're short, they're sweet, they put the information out there, and you can follow it easily. And so don't forget those. Now, as far as my top 10 list, these are the ones I use as my mainstays as pollinator plants. I'm big about natives. I love them. But I also, like I was talking about earlier, I put a lot of annuals and herbs in to mix in, plus the trees and shrubs. Milkweed or anything in the Clyspeus family is a great addition. My favorites tend to be the purple milkweed and the butterfly weed, and I can't forget the swamp milkweed. Common milkweed is easy to grow, but it just multiplies so fast and in different locations that you don't want it. So if you're in an area where you need more of a tamed down version, I would stick with the purple milkweed or the swamp milkweed or the butterfly weed. So there's lots of information out there, especially with Missouri Department of Conservation on the milkweeds. Like I said, the two mainstays I love to add is the purple coneflower and the black-eyed Susan. They're just really great, and they will bring in a lot of pollinators. Another wonderful one is Liatris or blazing star. The one on the right is the Eastern blazing star. The one on the left is rough blazing star. And I will tell you, I have had more luck bringing in the pollinators with the rough blazing star. However, both are great plants. Bee balm or Monarda on the bottom is another great addition. There's cultivated varieties, there's native varieties, there's annual varieties. All of them are great, and they're great additions, and bees love them. They will bring in the pollinators, so definitely a go-to plant. One I really like because it's late season when things stop blooming. This one starts blooming, and that's Aromatic Aster, and it's more like a small shrubby bush, but it is classified as a perennial. But I think it's an awesome one because this is a plant that you can find dozens of pollinators visiting in fall when everything else is slowing down. So this is, to me, is a definite have to have in your garden. Like I said earlier, that I do tuck in a lot of annuals in. These are two that are for sure to bring in pollinators. Zinnias and sunflowers. They're both that can be sowed in the garden. And you definitely want to do that after May 1st. That way the soil is warm enough. Then the seeds will come on up and they'll grow. But these are great because they're easy to grow, and they like I said, they bring in loads of pollinators. And I can't forget the herbs. The herbs are more I add those for the larval source a lot of times. So the swallowtail butterfly, they love the parsley and they love the dill. And also fennel. So if you like those, the black swallowtails, this is the plant to have. But if you also like using your herbs, make sure to plant double the amount that you would traditionally have. The other two I use commonly is basil and oregano, and once again, because it will bring in pollinators.